Hi, my name is Nonima Tigela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I want us to take down. Okay, let's go memory lane. Let's in fact start from the beginning when it comes to the Senzo Meyiwa case. If you are new here, we are analyzing the Senzo Meyiwa case, and of course we'll analyze the AKA case when it comes. We'll analyze the Thabo Bester when it comes. We'll analyze whatever else which is a case when the time comes. So right now, I want us to go through the Senzo Meyiwa case from the beginning of everything. Number one, the first thing that we are going to deal with, in fact, in this video, we are going to deal with the night Senzo Meyiwa was killed, the background of everything, events of the night, individuals that were present, the national impact of the tragedy, and also key developments at the time, legal implications at the time, public reactions, whatever else that you guys remember, you will put it on the comment section, your reactions and everything. Where were you? What were you doing? Etc. If you remember all of that when that situation happened. Now, here we are going to deal with a case. This is a case that changed South Africa forever, son. This case changed a lot of things for South Africa. So if you are new in this channel, welcome to the podcast. If you are new, if you are not new, still welcome in this series. We are taking a comprehensive look at one of South Africa's most controversial criminal trials of all time. The murder of Bafana Bafana captain and Orlando Pirates goalie, Senzo Meyiwa. In this, I'm going to do a series. I think I'm going to do, I don't know how many episodes is it going to be, but I'll do a series of it and then we'll talk, because I don't want to I'll be making it 2 hours or whatever, but I just want to make it 10 to 15 minutes perhaps at least, so that you guys don't watch and get bored. So this series is not about declaring anyone guilty or innocent. Instead, we are going to examine the evidence presented in court, the legal issues, the investigation, and many questions that continue to divide South Africans. So in today's episode, I take us back to the night everything changed, 26 October 2014. That is where we are. Okay, that is where we are going to start. So on Sunday evening, 26 October 2014, South Africans were shocked by breaking news that national football captain Senzo Meyiwa had been shot. The shooting occurred inside the Foslorus home of singer Kelly Khumalo's mother, while several people were inside the house. According to the original version presented to the police, two armed intruders allegedly entered the property. One suspect reportedly remained outside. The prosecution's case has consistently been that the shooting happened during an attempted robbery. However, over the years, that version has become one of the biggest points of dispute in the trial. Now, who was inside the house? Court evidence established that several people were present. That was Kelly Khumalo, the girlfriend at the time of Senzo Meyiwa, who was also a new baby mama to him, because they had a baby who was born in April, if I'm not mistaken, April. Let's say April, May, June, July, August, September, October. So the child was plus minus 7 months old when Senzo Meyiwa was shot and killed. So it was Kelly Khumalo, that girlfriend, Zandile Khumalo, who is the sister to Kelly Khumalo, Longwe Twala, who was the boyfriend at the time to Zandile Khumalo, Kelly Khumalo's younger sister, Tumelo Madlala, Senzo Meyiwa's childhood best friend, and then Kelly's mother, Dombi Gladness Khumalo, and then Kelly's children. The firstborn at the time was 4 years old, if I'm not mistaken, and then it was theirs and Senzo's child, Uthingulu Nkosi. And then there was who's the other Twala guy, Umthokozisi Twala, who was both Senzo and his wife. He was a married man. If you don't know this, he was a married man dating Kelly Khumalo at the same time. So Mtokozi Sitwala was a friend of Senzo and Mandisa. I'm not sure which one he was more friendly to. Was it Senzo or the wife? But he was their friend. And then it was Senzo, Meyiwa Self. Those were the people that were inside the house. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Galu, and then 7 with the children. Yes, those were the people that were inside the house. Every one of these individuals either made a statement to police or became important witnesses during the investigation. Yet, their accounts have differed on numerous occasions and details over the years. Those differences later became central to the defense's arguments. Okay? Now, the original police version, police initially announced that armed robbers had entered the house. According to the state, an argument occurred. One intruder allegedly demanded valuables. Senzo attempted to intervene. A single fatal shot was fired. The suspects escaped. Immediately after the murder, police launched a nationwide manhunt. Actually, it was not immediate. It was after a while when it happened, because the people inside the house did not call the cops, did not call emergency services. After a while, they actually took Senzo to hospital themselves. After making calls to people who were not inside the house, people like some of Senzo Meyiwa's family members, Longwe Twala's father, Mandisa, the wife. So those were the people that were called by Kelly Kumalo Tumelo. Those are the two people that I know they called people from outside. And then millions of rands were offered as reward money for anyone who can come up with the information regarding the intruders. Thousands of tips were received, yet years passed without any arrest. Actually, real arrest, because a week later, after Senzo was shot and killed, Zamoku Hlembata was arrested and accused of the crime. The weird thing about that was Zamoku Hlembata was not a stranger to anyone in that house, including the deceased, which is Senzo Meyiwa. Understand that even Senzo knew the guy. Even Senzo, do you really get to understand what that means? Even Senzo, the deceased, knew Zamoku Hlembata, because apparently Zamoku Hlembata used to wash Senzo's car. So it was a shock when Zamoku Hlembata was arrested. I think 2 to 3 weeks later, he was released because there was no evidence that was pointing to him, according to police investigations. And yet, the Kumalus are the ones that pointed at Zamoku Hlembata. Weird. And then we thought things were not going to get interesting from there. They got worse. Now, national shock that we had to deal with. Senzo wasn't just another football player. He was a captain of Bafana Bafana, goalkeeper for Orlando Pirates, one of South Africa's biggest sporting stars at the time. The country united in grief, tributes poured in from football clubs, political leaders, celebrities, supporters, international organizations. His funeral became one of the biggest sporting memorials South Africans or South Africa at large had ever seen. Now, the investigation began. What should have been straightforward murder investigation quickly became increasingly complicated. Questions emerged about crime scene management, forensic collection, witness handling, statement recording, evidence preservation. Many of these issues would later dominate courtroom proceedings. Now, early public questions, almost immediately, South Africans began asking why hadn't the suspect been caught? How could several eyewitnesses produce different accounts? Was this a real robbery? Could someone inside the house know more? Those questions would remain unanswered for years. Now, years without arrest after Zamoku Hlembata was released, because there was no concrete evidence against him, and everything that had to do with that arrest was very shady. Now, despite extensive investigations, no one was arrested for several years. The case changed investigating officers multiple times. I remember there was plus minus 40 investigators prior the current team. Plus minus 40 investigators worked on the case. Different investigative theories reportedly emerged. Public confidence in the investigation began declining. The longer the case remained unsolved, the more speculation grew. Now, while we were dealing that, there was this team now. It was a team of Brigadier Gininda, Captain Joyce Buthelezi, Warrant Officer Makubo, and who else? I don't remember who else, but I do remember these three names. Now, they were selected to be the to lead this investigation and check what's happening with this case. This was now 2019? Yes, this was now 2018. Yes, 2018, 2019, going to 2019. Now, authorities claim they held, then 6 years later, there was a breakthrough. This was now 2020. When Gininda, there was a breakthrough, there was a breakdown of those investigations, because from that investigation that was selected by Minister Bheki Cele, now then there was Gininda and team Gininda breakthrough from the team that was selected, and then Gininda had his National Cold Case Unit. I don't know how that came about, but there was that, and in that situation, that's where the so-called breakthrough came. Now, nearly 6 years later, police announced the arrest of 5 accused. Authorities claimed they had solved the matter. The prosecution alleged killing formed part of a planned robbery. And also the other issue was that, when that media briefing was done in October 2020, 26 October 2020, we were told that the prosecution and the police worked hand in hand, and they have a watertight case. The accused denied involvement. The current accused that are in court now, they were like, nope, we have nothing to do with that. And they even, on the first day, on the 27th of October 2020, refused to even enter the dock, because they're like, why are we here? What is this? What is this for? Their defense teams have consistently maintained that they were wrongly implicated. The trial that followed became one of the most closely watched criminal proceedings in modern South African history. Now, key developments: Senzo Meyiwa was fatally shot on 26 October 2014. Multiple people were present inside the house. Police initially treated the case as robbery gone wrong. Years passed before this current arrest of the 5 accused was made. 5 accused were eventually charged. The case developed into one of South Africa's longest running and most scrutinized murder trials. Legal implications when it comes to all of this. In this episode, we are introducing several legal issues that became central later in the trial and in this series that we are going to look into. The burden rests on the prosecution to prove guilt beyond reasonable doubt. Eyewitnesses, their testimony can be powerful, but may also be challenged if accounts are inconsistent. Crime scene preservation is essential because mistakes can affect the reliability of evidence. Delays in investigation can complicate prosecution by affecting witness memory, evidence, and public confidence. This principle will help listeners understand why later courtroom debate became so significant. And there was also public reaction when it comes to all of this. The murder of Senzo Meyiwa had profound impact across South Africa. Fans mourned the loss of a national sports icon. Many questioned why the investigation took so long. Public opinion became deeply divided as new theories emerged. The trial attracted widespread media attention and intense public scrutiny, with many following each development closely. Now, this is why we are busy doing all of this. This was only the beginning. Okay, we thought, yeah, but Shukuti, it became the beginning of everything. The events of that October night will trigger years of investigation, changing police teams, competing narratives, and one of South Africa's mostly closely followed criminal trials. Now, that is what we dealt with when it comes to the entire Senzo Meyiwa case. I'm going to end this video here because I don't want it to be too long. In our next episode, we'll examine the first investigation, why it stalled, and how the direction of the case changed over time. And we are going to also deal with the comment section. You guys are going to ask your questions. In fact, let me ask you my questions. Do you think the initial robbery theory raised more questions than answers? How important is it for police to preserve a crime scene from the very beginning? What challenges do long delays create for witnesses? And what challenges do long delays create for witnesses and the justice system at large? What would you, as a South African who is watching the case, like to see explored as the series continue? Thank you so much. I will see you on our next video. Do enjoy your day. Bye-bye.